Welcome to Native Honor Hours. I'm Ed Zendejas.
I'm Cindy Kratka. Welcome back. It's been a hot minute.
That's been your fault.
Ed Lardo, we all know it has not.
You ran out of makeup. Isn't that right, Kenny?
Oh, I'll never run out of makeup.
Hey, I have this real quick, nothing we do is quick, but I got this email from somebody that I won't mention names, but I got this email from this person saying they wanted to do something that they were planning to do with, Brother Rich Berea, some function. And so it reached out to me, and I said, he said, I reached out to you because I watch your show with your, I said, who watches that goofy show anyway? You know what he said?
What?
He said he liked watching because we have chemistry.
We have Regis and Kathy Lee. Remember that guy who, when we very first started doing our show? Well, see, one of us is incredibly smart and the other one is a little dim. And I just keep pulling you
I was going to
along.
say, don't say bad things about yourself, Cindy. You're all right.
Oh.
I was thinking, seriously, I don't know. We've been doing this for too long. And you just
We're finally, when do we ever get to be back in person again?
Probably never, huh, Kenny?
I wanted to.
I think so, because he's a lot cockier when I'm not sitting within smack him a reach.
Well, see, that's the good thing for me is that there's no threat of you hitting me or throwing anything at me.
Yeah, but then that means we just let you talk, and that's also dangerous.
You know what? There's been a lot of things. It's what, 3 weeks since we've been on?
I know a lot has happened.
And, I kind of lose track of my rants, Kenny, because seriously, I'm ready to go. And then Cindy says, oh, I can't this week. And, so I forget which.
I mean, do you believe him? I mean, you know what, though? I hate to say it, but no Indian man has ever been responsible for anything ever since the beginning of time. We love you, Indian men, but nothing is ever your fault. Ever, ever, ever. Kind of a man thing, but way more an Indian man thing. My grandpa would keep going about whose fault it was until he finally just gave up and quit talking. Never your fault.
I'm innocent.
Always, of everything. It's always my fault. Always.
Kenny, you need to record that and put it on one of those to keep repeating it over and over again. Just
you know what, though? Remember the film festival when Gary left?
You know what? That's called an admission of guilt.
Oh, I went running to Ed like a bat out of hell. I said, your talent, and of course, then he was his talent. Your talent has just left. He goes, what do you mean? I said, he left. He just walked away. I said, he looked at the agenda, said no, and left. I said, you better go get him.
See, and to my credit, I said, what are we going to do? Just keep going.
I know, you went and got him.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
That's when he
was walking away.
No, that's when we turned on the lights. He was gone, and then I said, let's just cancel it. We walk in, and he's sitting up front, ready to go. But anyway, anything going on that you wanted to talk about? I know that I sort of wanted to touch a little bit on some of the boarding school issues. The Pope made I guess an apology.
And I'm of two minds of that. First of all, like I said, it's nice just to have somebody apologize for something. But what does an apology do at this point? How about putting some money into programs for the people that went through the boarding school and are messed up because of it? How about maybe putting some money towards turning the remaining boarding schools into Indian health clinics? If you're sorry, do something about it. Words are just words. Actions matter. And I don't see the Catholic Church doing anything for anybody except apologizing. Also, I would like to note that the Pope is only apologizing to Canada. Clearly, the Catholics aren't as that concerned about the Indian children in America. Does the Pope's apology make me feel any better for my great grandmother's sister that died in Carlisle? No. No, it doesn't. So, like I said, two minds. It's just nice for once for somebody to apologize, but what does it do? What does it do? Is it going to make relations between the Catholic Church and natives any better? I don't think so. Because we judge by their actions, not their words.
You know what sort of struck me, and I don't know if it's just me, but whenever, why did we have to send a tribal delegation, to the Vatican? Why didn't or just come here? And it happens with, and I see the pictures, the tribal leaders get all decked out in their war bonnets and their, why are you getting dressed up? Why do you have to impress the Pope? The Pope is representing, all the wrongdoing, and why do you have to, I guess there's some measure of respect that you do that, but why do you have to go in and make it seem like, I might be wrong. It just seems like we are going over there to kiss the ring of the Pope, and
for a few crumbs.
And we're grateful that we had an audience so that the Pope can apologize for all of the horrific things that were done.
Well, and I'd like to hear what the viewers think. To the people that are listening now and people that are going to be watching it later, leave a comment or two about how you feel about the Pope apologizing to Canada. Let me stress that one more time. To Canada, not the United States.
Well, we're getting there. I mean, there's a lot of efforts going on here in the lower, what do they call it, the states.
Would there be if Deb Haaland wasn't the Secretary of Interior?
No, probably not. No, there would not be.
No, I think
at least there wouldn't be any sort of push from the government, the Department of Interior, Bureau of Indian Affairs, to look into it. I think it would have been brushed underneath,
like it has been for how many years?
Yeah, so there's a lot of tangible examples of having Deb Haaland as the Secretary of Interior, because I'm sure it would not have gotten the attention from somebody else that was in that position. So it's been another tangible outcome of having Deb Haaland in that position. So thank you, Auntie Deb.
Well, and let me ask you a question, another question now pertaining to Auntie Deb and the Department of Interior. I saw that Senator Manchin's in Canada talking about the pipeline. So what would it take to reopen that? And could Deb, I'm sure Congress would, and the House, the Senate and the House would have to vote on it, but could Deb Haaland block it, or could Biden block it?
Well, Biden, as Obama did, is sign an executive order. Deb Haaland couldn't, stop it on her own. She's just a
intermediary
of the president. Now, if Biden were to sign an executive order, because I'm quite certain Congress wouldn't do anything, but the president could. But then again, as what's happened in previous instances where executive orders are signed, they can be challenged in court. And I think what Manchin is doing is, of course, playing, sort of, the power broker, maybe trying to, in exchange for votes for some other issue, if he were to get, something that he could take back to his people saying, look, I'm trying to help out with the gas prices and trying to get the pipelines flowing again so that we could.
Well, we're still trying to figure out who Manchin's people are.
You never know. I mean,
here's the problem. Here's what worries me.
I think there may be, and I don't know this, haven't heard this, but he may be positioning himself to to run for president. Who knows? There was some talk of him changing parties, so you never know what the motivation is of a politician.
Well, what scares me is midterms are coming up and Biden's numbers are low. People are blaming him for a lot of stuff that really has nothing to do with him. But if we're going to continue to sanction Russia, and if we eventually shut off all oil and coal to Europe and us from Russia, the people are going to lose their minds. And my fear is the pipeline's going to be what is given them, even though it wouldn't be ready. I mean, we could start getting oil out of it tomorrow. It's what, 10 years away?
I always recall what Wilma Mankiller said. She said, perception drives public policy. If there's a perception that you're doing something, I'm opening up. You're right that the pipelines, the purpose of them wasn't to, to provide gasoline or anything like that to the United States. It was to, provide an easier way for Canada to ship its oil, to
Mexico.
International ports. So, but it's the perception that you're against, gasoline. You're against if you're opposed to the pipeline, you're opposed to, to gasoline. You're in favor of $5-6 an hour a gallon gas prices. So a lot of that stuff is perception, and it's how you frame the issue, and it's being framed in that manner. And it's quite an easy way to control the narrative of politics. It's everybody has to go to the gas station and fill their tanks up. So it's easy to provide the perception that, oh, it's this person's fault because they're not doing this, or it's this party's fault because they are doing this. So it's an easy way to run or to drive the narrative. And in this instance, I think you'll probably see, and you are seeing, politics being played with pipelines, because it gives the perception that you are doing something about high gas prices, and that's what people want. And I think that's what they're trying to give them.
Biden made a lot of promises to natives who overwhelmingly came out and voted for him. I think he would do well to remember some of those promises, because the Indians just won't vote. They wouldn't vote the other way. They just won't vote. And I mean, look at Nebraska, Thurston County, Obama, Biden, Indians vote. And I think it would be real stupid at this juncture to throw the people that helped you get there under the bus for the people that obviously did not.
I think when it comes to national politics, I think who is the last one that they consider in terms of constituencies, and it's us. So
I'd go protest in DC over this. I'd also go to South Dakota and protest against Kristi Noem.
Speaking of, you said you're going to nominate her as what?
Worldwide knucklehead of the week, month, year, date, whatever.
How can we do that? She's already earned, the knuckle.
She replaced Dan Snyder. How bad do you have to be? Dan Snyder is under investigation for just about every kind of rot you could possibly have. 2 sets of books, all of that, and she's worse than that. I mean, really, how bad is Kristi Noem?
All right, what do you have about Kristi Noem?
Gubernatorial degree that we are no longer teaching critical race theory in anywhere. No trainings in the universities, no nothing. That's all done. Because, Ed, she doesn't want the white people to feel bad about what they did. She doesn't want to have white guilt be on her conscience. My mind blows up. I really shouldn't even talk about her, because
I like to see that again. Can you recreate that?
No. I mean, here's the thing. She's stupid. How can someone that dumb become a governor. I mean, Pete Ricketts is bad, make no mistake, and he's not the sharpest crayon in the box. But Kristi Noem just puts a whole new meaning to the word stupid.
I wouldn't say that they're stupid. They're politicians.
They're uninformed. They're putting themselves and their career over every single constituent in their state, except for maybe the 300 old white people that are agreeing with them.
No, I think they are actually targeting, what they perceive to be their, as they say, their political base, so that it will provide, some political cover for them to do other things. But in this instance,
the one person who stood against it, the one legislator who stood against it, the one Indian in the room.
Well, that's good. But she did that once again by a governor's executive order, because the the legislature didn't pass it, and she was pretty upset. So she
Did the tribe sue her?
And do what?
Illegal executive. I mean,
anybody can challenge that executive order. Now,
who's going to?
I don't know, but if I were teaching in South Dakota, I wouldn't say I would do it myself, but I think there's a pretty. See, this is what gets me, and Kenny, I feel a rant coming on here.
Go, brother, go.
If Cindy will give me just
quiet
a couple minutes. See, you get these politicians that say, yeah, we're strict constructionists of the Constitution. We want the Constitution to be interpreted in its original context, and we're all in favor of the Constitution. The United States government is veering off into paths that conflict with the You hear these statements being rattled off by, these politicians like Kristi Noem and, the former president and all those that follow them.
The former twice impeached.
See, she's interrupting me, Kenny.
I just had to throw in. I'm done.
And so they're sitting there saying, oh, how we adore the Constitution, and we have these inherent rights to carry our guns and our rifles, and we don't need a permit to do that. But on the other hand, they are quick to propose legislation that will inhibit free speech and the conveyance of ideas, of theories that occur in classrooms. That is the purpose of institutions of higher learning, to develop different. You don't have to agree with these theories. That's the whole point of putting theories out, so that they can be challenged, discussed, and that's where those types of things should happen, in a classroom, and where people are free to say, here's what I think. But
in a safe space.
What do they do? They will pass legislation saying you can't do that because those thoughts conflict with mine, and I don't want my constituency to feel bad about themselves. But yet they will trample over the Constitution when it comes to freedom of speech, of theories, ideas being taught in the classroom. But any place else, that doesn't apply. Everybody else doing it but us. So that's my rant against Kristi Noem and any others, politicians that say, we need to do away with the critical race theory because it's going to make people feel bad. No, you know what? What you're doing is saying you're not in favor of freedom of speech in a classroom. Okay, I'm done. You can now.
I agree with you 100%. A classroom is a safe space, and you're in my class. There is an open sharing of ideas with different opinions. I ask, do you think Andrew Jackson was justified in what he did to the Native Americans? Why or why not? And I have students that say, yes, he was, because those were the people who elected him, because it was his job as the president. There are people who answer like that. And it's good for me too to see the opposing positions. I always give them full points because when it's an opinion paper, you told me I have to give them full points. But I always send an email saying, this is a Native Studies class. I'm asking you to look at it through a different lens, but I respect your beliefs. So, it's a safe space and people do learn who they are. You see so much change in these kids from freshman year to senior year. We teach them to think. We teach them to use their minds to see what's right and wrong, not to just mindlessly believe what they're being told by Facebook and by Instagram and by Twitter, by social media. Social media is not necessarily true, nor does it have to be. Let's get our news from news sources. I agreed 100% with everything you said on your rant. Right on, brother.
Record that one too, Kenny. I have to tell you, Kenny, she called me and, this student said, Andrew said, well, I'm going to flunk him. I said, no, you asked for it. You can't sit here and say, I want your opinion. And then when their opinion doesn't agree with yours, that's what the opposing side is accusing, people like us that teach the, from a different point of view. They want the students to, and if you don't, their grade is going to be cut. No, I don't. You know me, Kenny. I don't care about.
I've sat in your classes and there have been hot debates and enjoyed it to no end. Political science was my major. That was what we did in class. We debated. The Socratic method. I will keep asking you questions until you figure it out.
Agree with you.
No, you're right. And more and more, the students are leaning a little further and a little farther and a little farther towards, it was okay because of the times we're in. I would love to compare what happened to Native Americans to what's going on in the Ukraine right now. Only over how many years? 200 years how long was that war? How long was the war against the Native Americans? 200 years before they got Geronimo, at least. So, we know a little something about prolonged war. We know a little something, and a couple of my students have commented on that. It seems to me like it's what's going on in the Ukraine. If they wouldn't have had me to teach them what happened in the United States, they would not understand. Like I said, I take from you. Your very beginning thing is tell me what you know about Indians, and then at the end you say, what have I learned about Native Americans? Every single one of those papers without fail say, I had no idea. I wasn't taught any of this in grade school. I wasn't taught any of this in high school. So realistically, we're just trying to give you the history of the Native Americans through a different lens, different than the lens you're taught. And that's supposed to be what college is about. But you mark my words, Nebraska, depending on which one, who gets governor, Nebraska is going to be next, Dad. And we're going to be standing and fighting against people trying to bit by bit dismantle what we've built, bit by bit take, you can't use that book. You can't teach that subject. Let's keep it general. More and more, I think it's coming, and I think it's going to hit Nebraska.
No, it is coming. Every single candidate from one particular party has vowed that they are going to get rid of it. It is number 1A on everybody's political. And let me. And
yet meanwhile, they're not telling us what they do believe in. All we're hearing is no to critical race and no to abortion. That's all they talk about. Where do they stand on property taxes? Do you know in Nebraska, I have to pay taxes on Social Security. I had to pay in because of Social Security. That's Nebraska. Why are we not talking about any of these issues? Every time I see an ad for Pillen, it's him and 590-year-old white people. 10 in a room, 10 per visit. Do they not care that their Social Security is being taxed? Do they not care that there's children in Omaha who are not eating? Do they not care that there's not enough teachers to teach the children we have? That there's not enough doctors and nurses to fill the positions we have available? Does none of that matter as long as we don't teach critical race theory? Because that's what it seems like they're saying to me.
Well, you say well, it's coming. I don't see.
And I'm gonna be one of the ones arrested when it does.
I want to see that.
Oh, you will.
I want to be there.
You know what? You are the attorney of record for the Circle of Grandmothers. Just so you know, en masse, you're gonna have to come get us all. And look at him, he shakes his head. It would be one phone call. He'd have a heart attack and be down there in 5 minutes.
No, you grandmothers would be like this, holding them bars.
Well, none of our kids would have enough money to bail us out. All we have is you.
They don't serve fry bread in jail. So you guys.
Well, you know what though, Ed? Do you think these kids are going to vote for governor? Do you think that anybody is going to turn out and vote?
No.
No.
It's a what they say is a down year. There's no presidential names on the ballot, so they're not going to come out.
And that's where they sneak them in. That's where they sneak in a crappy governor. That's where they sneak in, and I'll just stop there. I was going to go after the mayor, but we're living in Omaha. We best just kind of not be mellow, but it's a bad time to be brown again. This is the world we were born into, Ed, and it's coming back again. Just like bell bottoms. It's a bad phase that never will go away.
What's kind of sad too is, political reality. Sharice David's, seat in Kansas is threatened now because they redid the boundaries so that she's gonna
gerrymandering is what
time
it's
for her to
called.
get reelected. So one of the voices that we have is probably going to be, and that's really sad because that makes a difference in terms of national policy and some of the things that are going on right now in Indian country are due in large part because there's finally voices in Congress that are making sure that our voices and our interests are being represented in a lot of these funding measures that are being voted on. So, it's kind of sad to see, but I hope that I hope the people of Kansas will return Sharice Davids, but
we do primetime reading, Native American literacy program for families in Omaha and surrounding areas, kids from 3 to 11, and we read them children's books. One of the books we read was Sharice David's Big Voice. And you know what it did? It told every single one of those kids, you could do this because she can. If she can do this, you can do this. It's okay to be gay. If you're different than everybody else, it's okay. All of this comes through in this amazing children's book that I bet not in one library in any school in Nebraska.
probably not.
Mm-mm.
Maybe she's an attorney. Maybe Biden will put her on the federal bench somewhere.
Ketanji Brown.
I'm waiting for a native on a U.S. Supreme Court. That would
We're
be
waiting for natives in a lot of areas. Native CEO of a major company.
well. Some would say that there already are.
Who?
Tribes have their own corporate entities.
Tribal entities. I'm
that are doing
talking.
well.
I'm talking Microsoft. I'm talking Mutual of Omaha. I'm talking about a white corporation with an Indian-led.
Well, tribes would tell you that those people that have the skills to do that need to be doing things for their tribe and helping have those revenues come back into the tribe rather than into some pockets of investors and shareholders.
I think to a certain extent, what happened in the boarding school also in a weird way happens after college. When the kids from the boarding school went home, they didn't feel like they belonged anymore. They felt like they were different. They felt like they were being judged by other people. And sometimes when kids go home after college, it can be, not always is, but it can be the same type of experience for them. So they just don't go home. My mom went from the boarding school to Spearfish Teachers College to Laramie, Wyoming. You know, she just didn't go home.
Well, my mom came to Omaha, Nebraska.
Yep. And
Right.
you, I know.
Well, Kenny, are we running out of time yet? I feel spent after I did that rant.
Brother, I have a feeling that we're going to be doing a lot more rants in the future. I have a feeling that things are going to get better before they get worse. And I have a feeling that we all need to stand up and make our voice be heard. Luckily, you have no problem with that whatsoever. Where's Gare? Where's Gary? Where in the world is Waldo? Something fun. He is, it looks to me like he's working on Res Dog. So he must have made it back into the second season. Also, Rutherford Falls is having a second season.
Did you watch the season of Resident Alien?
I have to watch. I got rid of cable halfway through. Yes, I broke up with cable. The longest relationship in my life. And literally it has almost killed me.
Did you break up with cable?
I have to find where I can watch it on a streaming service.
So you got a divorce from cable now? All right, well.
Me and cable had to get divorced.
All right.
I miss news. I miss MSNBC. I miss news.
I'm spent right now.
All right. Well, let's let the old man.
I'm getting old, Kenny. My rants are taking its toll on me.
And see, I can have a rant a day.
Well, I'll maybe next week we'll come back and I'll remember what my other rants were going to be.
You know what?
Beyond.
Sean Bordeaux is in the government in South Dakota. I'll reach out to him and try and get him to come on the show and get his take on what's going on with Kristi Noem, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What movie is that from?
You know what? I don't want to deal with Kristi Noem that much.
I feel as if we must.
She's going to be our president one day. You watch.
How about Sarah Palin's running for Senate, so she's coming back too.
With that, on that note, Kenny, it is time to say goodbye.
Have a good weekend, everybody.